Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the GovAI media stage. And I am joined this afternoon by a variety of our speakers, sponsors and partners here at the conference, and none less than the SVP of Enterprise Accounts for the global public sector. I can just about fit that on a business card, I think, if people still have those. Sharon Woods from Invisible Technologies joins me this afternoon to talk about how government sector can actually implement AI well. But before we maybe jump into that, Sharon, just maybe give us a little introduction. Who is Invisible Technologies?
Sure. So Invisible Technologies, we are a... sorry. Do you want me to look at that? Okay.
Yeah,
do we need to start
That's fine.
over?
I'll just introduce you.
Okay. Did you want me to look at you, or do you want me to look at that?
Introduction over there, but then we'll talk to each other. That's fine.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
No, it's fine. I'm just going to say the end of it, and then you can go clean him.
Okay.
But first of all, Sharon, who is Invisible Technologies?
Sure. So Invisible Technologies is an AI company. We have two main business areas. The first is we train models. We've trained 80% of the foundation models in the world. And then we also deploy AI products into customers' environments, both Gen AI as well as agentic AI. And a key part of that is partnering with our customers so that we have forward deployed engineers and really tailor that experience and have a true partnership rather than just throwing the tech at them. We actually just closed a $100 million funding round, so we're really excited about that.
Very exciting. We will come back to that, I'm sure. Let me just unpack what you just said there, though. You train foundation models. Now, I assume that doesn't mean teaching people to go up and down a runway with Maybelline on them. Like, what does it mean to train a foundation model?
Sure. So you think about ChatGPT, right? OpenAI, Copilot, Anthropic, any of the models, and I won't necessarily say we're doing those particular ones, but I'll just say 80% of them as you think about large LLMs. We have thousands, tens of thousands of trainers, data scientists in the background. And I don't know that people necessarily realize that, right? They interface with the technology and they think it's just IT and data's coming from somewhere. But it really takes people specialized in that space to truly make sure that the information coming out of the model is accurate. So one thing we do, for instance, we were asked to train a model on falconry from the 1800s.
Of course.
Yeah.
A highly practical, relevant daily example for my ChatGPT habit.
Yeah. There's nothing online about that, or at least not enough to train a model. Okay. So we crawl the globe to find out who actually knows about falconry from the 1800s. We contract with them, and then we essentially do interviews, and they make sure the information is accurate and in there. So, because there can be these really esoteric topics.
Of course. And so this is the process that I think people commonly call reinforcement learning, right?
Yes.
Through human feedback, RLHF.
Yes.
So you guys are finding some of the humans to do that feedback, it sounds like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, other areas where this becomes helpful, it's training in different languages, especially different dialects, right?
Yes.
You really need the people that are steeped in that dialect to make sure that the word you're using has the right connotation. I'm sure we've all heard instances with foreign language translations where you don't appreciate the difference between Mexican Spanish and Spanish from Spain, and you end up with a very different word.
I mean, you don't even need to go outside of languages. I mean, I can say my own mother tongue of kind of London British English. So don't ask ChatGPT to talk to you with a Birmingham accent. It sounds slightly too Jamaican for most people. Okay, so we've got to get people in the loop and kind of help do this. But one of the big application areas we're here talking about at the conference is how the government, in particular, government agencies or those that support the government, can successfully implement AI. I mean, just maybe before we even kind of say about the government side of it, just unpack for it, what does it look like to do any of this successfully today? What kind of outcomes are people looking for?
So I actually think that's one of the problem areas, is people don't know the outcomes they're seeking. If you remember cloud from a decade ago, right, last 5 years, everyone says, go take all of our applications to the cloud in the next 2 years. And that's it.
Why?
They're not able to articulate beyond that what they're trying to achieve. And that's the case with any new technology. AI is not any different. So I think organizations and senior leaders have a sense that they need to adopt AI to advance their mission, but they're not able to articulate the goals beyond that. And there are a lot of different goals you can use. So I'll use the example of speed and quality. So if you think about Medicaid eligibility applications, right? Probably a huge backlog, probably have some poor analyst that's like poring over, hundreds or thousands of these applications. And let's say it takes on average 3 days per application.
Right.
Well, AI is fantastic at repetitive processes, going through those workloads. So maybe your goal is, let's take it from 3 days to 2 days, or 3 days to 1 day.
Okay.
And then to weave in quality, okay, you freed that person's time up now.
Yeah.
And so maybe we tell the AI, okay, we want you to make sure these applications are complete. Maybe your goal is, well, 20% of these things are getting overturned when they get appealed. So let's decrease that overturn rate. Well, if you have a system that can flag different holes in the application, inconsistencies in the application, and you freed up the analyst's time because now you're able to do things quicker, they have more time to do the subjective analysis of what is going on here so that you can hit your goal of decreasing overturn rate.
I mean, we hear lots of examples both in the corporate and in the public sector of these models being really great at saving money, saving time. But what about creating, and creating more outcomes for people in that sense? Are you seeing examples of that as well?
Yeah, so I think where we're seeing some of that, I'll do it in the area of logistics. I came from the Department of Defense, so maybe I'll use something a little bit more military inspired. But you think about troops, you think about munitions and vehicles and all these things. Well, right now, as with any government agency, there's way too much PowerPoint and Excel spreadsheets involved in the process of trying to triangulate where do you need to put things and when. I mean, all of these applications, logistics and moving things around is applicable to any government agency you can imagine. Well, if you apply AI, well, now you're able to be more efficient. Now you're making decisions that you didn't even know you could make before because the AI is revealing a real-time landscape to you that you didn't even have access to before.
Yeah, so you're going from kind of the unknown benefits to now just the unknown things. You didn't even know that those things were possible. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Finding new solutions. And I think when people hear about this idea, we're going to hand some of this decision making off, particularly when it comes to public funds. And kind of public resources in the form of people. You mentioned weapons and defense and vehicles and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, people's heckles go up a little bit. They get a little bit worried about, what are the risks here? We're going to start letting AI start making some of these decisions. How do you prepare government agencies, people working in the federal government, to spot the right risks to be concerned about? And then what about the ones that actually, no, they don't need to worry about so much?
Yeah, so honestly, I think in the government space, there's so much risk aversion, which is not unreasonable, right? Because you're interfacing with society and the public. You're interfacing with the military and decisions about what to do and when. You can't afford to make mistakes. And
using tax dollars to do it all.
And the margin of error is very small. So I think what's really key when you start moving into the agentic space is reassuring them that human in the loop is a part of the process. You can have the system make recommendations for you, and before the machine pushes go, right, you can take a look at that decision. But I do imagine a world where maybe certain criteria, a Medicaid claim that's less than $300, there's 3 criteria it has to satisfy. The system can determine that. Do you really want to consume the analyst's time with that? Or do you want to let the system approve it, right? I mean, I think these are the kinds of questions we're grappling with. But human in the loop is going to be key in the beginning so that organizations can validate that the right decisions are being made. But to be honest, sometimes humans make wrong decisions. So if the AI is able to recommend something that's removing some of that human error, decision quality could actually and should go up.
So the human being in the loop is this phrase that we kind of hear a lot.
Yes.
Just give me some examples of, within the kind of practical ways that people are adopting the technology you guys are working on, where the human can actually be out of the loop. Because we hear all the time, there's a human in the loop, but we're only going to see the benefits if there are actually use cases where, no, actually this can fully be handled by an AI at some point or other. Are you seeing those examples yet?
Honestly, I am not seeing them as much as I'd like to.
Okay.
I really think government agencies are truly in their infancy. I think that's where we're going, but there are lower risk areas like procurement. Right? Just generating the right terms and conditions based on feeding all the policies and the reams of regulations, what needs to be in there. Do you really want your contracting officer spending days and days and days trying to like manually check all that? Or can you just say, you know what? I've spot checked it enough. I trust the model. From here on out, we're just going to let it populate the solicitation with the right clauses and push the I believe button. That doesn't mean you can't check it later. I think people want control.
Yes. Yeah.
Implementing AI doesn't mean you lose control. You decide how much control you want.
Okay. So the direction of the future then is that there may be some of these tasks where we can fully pull the human back out of that loop, and then they can spend their more interesting time doing more interesting things. What else in the future do you see coming down the pipe? As we think 2 years, 3 years out. I mean, anywhere beyond 3 years seems almost kind of fantasy land to even begin to think about. But how far, government cycles, they take a long time. Procurement isn't fast. We're obviously in one administration with another one at some point or other down the line. How can we help people think about the decisions they make today? Are they going to stick for the next 2 to 3 years, or do you have to be more nimble than that?
I think what's going to happen is as more use cases truly return on investment, which right now is not happening, right? The one report I saw is that 5% of AI pilots are successful, right? That was based on an MIT report. That's crazy. Like, who would place that bet on a 5% likelihood of success? But I think what's going to happen is there will be successful organizations, for instance, in the area of fraud. Mm-hmm. Agencies are going to see, and I think about state, local, it doesn't have to just be federal, or a state and local will see a federal example of where they were successful in the Medicare space or Medicaid, any kind of like healthcare, disability. All of that has applicability at every level of government. So then they're going to want to do it. Well, then they're going to want to do it. It's going to create this snowball until hopefully we hit a tipping point, just like we have with other technologies, until it becomes ubiquitous, right? And we have agentic AI, but who knows what the next level of AI is beyond that. But I'll take just getting to agentic. Okay,
fair enough. In closing, maybe just so that people can kind of really understand that this is something that's through all of the people that are here at the conference. Just if I was to kind of get access to your personal ChatGPT account for the afternoon, what kind of prompts might I find in there? What are some of the things that you're actually finding, kind of real benefit for yourself in your work or personal life?
I'll tell you, in my personal life, I plan to retire at 55. So I am putting all kinds of information into ChatGPT to figure out how I make that happen.
Good, okay. If you wish to find that prompt, you'll find that published later on the GovAI website. Sharon Woods from Invisible Technologies, thanks so much for taking the time to have a conversation with us here at GovAI.
Yep, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.